This morning we will talk about Haiti and the recent earthquakes that have ravaged the country. When there's a natural disaster like this, a so-called natural disaster, whether we're talking about earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, or whatever, or even when we talk about what we would think of as human disasters, war, disease, etc., it is a very tempting lesson or classroom for students of A Course in Miracles. On the one hand, it is very easy to blithely dismiss the suffering that is so rampant in situations like this by saying, well, it's all a dream, it all never happened, kind of taking the metaphysical high road and saying that what are you upset about? If you get upset about something like this, if you feel bad about people, if you contribute money or time or effort to help people in their suffering, all you're doing is making the error real, thereby strengthening the ego strategy of keeping us mindless, and on and on and on. It's the same kind of mistake that one has seen in the very brief history of A Course in Miracles, where students would criticize people who are sick, be totally unfeeling and insensitive to people who are suffering and actually dying in hospital rooms. Again, invoking the Course almost like drawing upon metaphysical platitudes by saying, well, sickness is a defense against the truth, suffering is a defense against the truth, what hurricane, what earthquake is all an illusion, and on and on and on. Clearly this is not Jesus' message to us, and one cannot imagine a more unfeeling, insensitive, or unkind reaction to people suffering. On the other hand, what is important as a student of the Course is to practice what is taught in that section called True Empathy at the beginning of chapter 16, where Jesus makes a contrast between false and true empathy. I don't think he uses the term false empathy, but it's empathy of the ego versus empathy that comes from the Holy Spirit. And the ego's empathy is always selective. It always feels sorry or feels the pain of certain people, but not of others. The true empathy that Jesus is teaching us is recognizing that everyone who comes here is suffering. Indeed, no one would come into this world as a body who was not suffering from the ravages, not of external circumstances, but the ravages of guilt. It is the seeking to escape from the guilt in the mind that impels all of us to come, and if one is so inclined to believe in past lives, to just come and come and come until one's lessons are completed. When one looks at a circumstance such as Haiti, and hears on the newscast that the numbers of those who have suffered and have died go multiplied by going from tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, etc. It is very tempting to feel for them and not for anyone else. When one looks at the sufferings in the Middle East or Africa or any other place in the world, it is always very tempting to feel sorry for the victims and not for the victimizers. But the truth of the matter is, everyone who comes here suffers. Everyone comes here suffers from guilt, and some adopt the role of being the victim of other people's sins, or others adopt the role of being apparent victimizers. But even the apparent victimizers, deep in their hearts, believe that they have been driven to their actions because they have been victimized. The child abuse, people who would abuse as children, so often end up being abusive adults. So once again, returning to Haiti, sure, one should feel the pain of all the people who are suffering. Sure, one should feel the indignation that the proper aid does not arrive on time, and when it does arrive, it is often used for political purposes. But that's on the human level, and if we are true to our goal, and which is the ultimate goal of A Course in Miracles, to help us awaken from the dream, which is for all of us here, dreams of being human, then we must recognize that the source of all suffering is on the level of the mind and not the body. Indeed, that is one of the salient messages of this Course, that the body feels nothing, does nothing, is not born, does not die, does not live, does not suffer, does not get sick, does not become healed. That the true source of all suffering, indeed the true source of everything in the phenomenal universe, is the mind's decision for guilt. And when we shift our focus, when we rise above the battleground with Jesus, and we look back down on what goes on in the world, whether we're talking about Haiti or any other place in the world where there is suffering, even if we're just talking about the suffering in our own homes or in our own places of work, in our circle of friends and family, that the suffering is all the same because it all comes from the same place, the mind's decision to be separated and to reinforce that belief in separation by being guilty. Once one has that experience, and once one is able to join with Jesus above the battleground and feel for everyone's pain, regardless of the form of the suffering, then one might indeed be guided to offer help to certain select groups, whether it's, again, in Haiti, in terms of donating money, food, health supply, medical supplies, or just having kind and loving thoughts. And to be nothing in this course, I would say not to do that. After all, this is all part of our particular classrooms. On the other hand, we should not be giving to certain groups, whether, again, it's material or thought, without there being a recognition that same love that is the source of our wanting to give and to be of help in form should not exclude anyone on the face of the earth. Indeed, we are all fellow sufferers, and we all suffer one more time, not from the ravages of the elements or the ravages of war or disease. We all suffer from the ravages of the mind's faulty decision. And once we recognize that, we're in a place where we can then correct that and choose differently. So to echo the words of Jesus' New Year's resolution for us, make this year different by making it all the same and see everyone as being the same. Suffering the same pain of guilt, as well as being the same and having the same opportunity to forgive and be healed.